Good morning. I figured it out. Facebook had some updates, and if you want to go live, let me just tell you, first you go to share something, you click on that space like you were going to write a post, and then you scroll down on the menu and it says go live, or it says video, photo, video. So then you click on video, photo, video. Then once you do that, it will give you the options across the bottom of whether or not you want to go live. And so here I am, live. It's Sunday morning. I hope some of you are up. I've talked to a couple of people already trying to help me find it. They couldn't find it either. So now you know. They've changed the way that we're doing it, okay? So let's go with the first question. We don't have a lot of questions this morning, but we do have some good ones. So this one is from Jean-Baptiste, Jonathan Jean-Baptiste, must be a French name. The question is, how do I determine what type of life insurance I should buy? So Jonathan is a residential real estate agent, and he wants to know about life insurance. Now, I'm no life insurance expert, but I have done consulting projects for a couple of very, very large John Hancock, Northwestern life insurance companies, so I have some understanding of it. You should have some life insurance to protect your estate. In other words, protect the life around you. I don't know if you're married or not, Jonathan, but you should have enough life insurance to provide your family with support for a couple of years after you've had an untimely demise. Now, there are different kinds of life insurance that you can buy. One is term. Term has no residual value. You buy the coverage, that's all. Another is whole life. It's the exact opposite. You put money in, and part of the money is used to pay the premium for coverage, and part of the money is put in a savings account for you that earns interest. Lots of people have created wealth by using whole life insurance, and it has some other benefits too that allow you to borrow money out of the policy, still maintain the coverage, still maintain the cash value that you've accumulated in it minus the loan that you made. So what I'd do is I would just go on the internet, I'm sure you have one, and I would Google life insurance, and they're going to tell you about term, they're going to tell you about whole life, and they're going to tell you about annuities, which provide insurance coverage, but also are basically a savings account like a CD, but at higher interest rates, and figure it out for yourself. And then when you have a good understanding of it, then you should talk to an agent. And most of the big national companies are going to be very competitive in what they offer. Okay? Hope that helps. Next question is from Leanna, and her question is, should I be sending caviar as marketing strategy to big names that are reaching out to me inquiring about caviar? So let me tell you this right now, Leanna, send me some caviar. Send me some caviar. My address is 5 Warwick Lane, Nashville, Tennessee. And if you don't want to just send me some caviar, then go ahead and send me some information on your caviar, because I'm a caviar buyer. And it would be interesting to me to see how your caviar compares to other caviars that I've been offered. Okay? I'm a prospect for you. But secondly, she's saying, should she do complimentary gift tins? They come in tins of caviar. And I think that's a good marketing strategy, but I wouldn't do it without some contact with the person I'm sending it to first. In other words, I'd have a conversation. I have an agreement to how they're going to promote it, or whether or not they're a prospect to buy it. And if they're a prospect to buy it, then you might want to let them sample your caviar. And I hope you have small tins, little tins of samples that you can send. If you don't, you should get some. And then I would continue the conversation with them after they received it, and try to make them either an influencer or make them a prospect to buy caviar. It's excellent to send caviar out to people to taste so that they know the quality of your product. All right? Don't be sending caviar out to people that aren't prospects or to people who don't agree to be an influencer for you, because it's just a waste of your money. Send all that caviar to me. I'll eat it, and I'll post regularly about how great your caviar is, okay? All right, next. Let's see. This is Rosalie. Hey, Rosalie, how you doing? Rosalie asked this question: how can I become more comfortable networking with wealthy individuals? Now, Rosalie has an accounting practice. It's a bookkeeping and tax practice, basically. And she is trying to build her business with people that have more money than she does, obviously. So, Rosalie, everybody puts their pants or their panties on the same every day. There's no difference in the way we get dressed. We all read the same. We all eat the same. You know, we all drive cars basically the same. Well, maybe not. But anyway, the point is that we need to try to realize that these people are no different than we are. They just have more money than we do. It doesn't make them any smarter, doesn't make them any nicer, doesn't make them any better people. They just have more money. And so there's no reason that you shouldn't feel comfortable talking to them, except that you're a little bit insecure because you're not rich. So what? You know, lots of people start out like you do with no money, and they get lots of money. Look at Sean, look at me. You know, we've both accomplished a lot based on our backgrounds, and you can do the same thing. And so it's not who you are, but who you're going to be that you should get in your mind as your self-image, okay? And that goes for everybody out there. I remember when I first started calling on bank CEOs, I thought, oh, these are bank CEOs. These are really sophisticated guys. And then when I was making $100,000 a year, I realized that I was making more money than the CEOs I was calling on. And so I looked at them differently. But I wish I hadn't. I wish I'd have looked at them the same all the time. And these people are coming to you because they don't know about taxes and bookkeeping. They need your expertise. It's just like the rich guy who takes his Maserati or his Lamborghini to the mechanic. You know, the mechanic is in a superior position because he understands the car and the owner doesn't. And you're in a superior position, not an inferior one, because you understand what they need and they don't. Okay? Hope that helps. So, Rosalie asks a second question. And her second question is, how can I determine if buying leads is better than organic reach for prospects? So if you have somebody who says, I'm interested in your product or service, that's a lead. And that is a good thing. If you call somebody on the phone, you don't know if they have a need for your product or service. And so you have to determine that. So would you rather call leads that are interested in your product or service, or would you rather call people who have expressed no interest whatsoever, but you might have some relationship or some introduction to? Me, I'd rather call the leads. And I know the specific program you're talking about. Obviously, it's called Bark, and they provide leads of people who are interested in professional services, and one of those professional services is accounting and bookkeeping and taxes. And so this is what you're doing. So if you're calling leads, you have to call them within 3 minutes of the time they submit a request, because other people will be calling them too. And if you don't call them within 3 minutes, then you shouldn't buy the lead. But also, geographically, a lot of people are still in the mindset that you have to be in the same state or the same city, the same town, same location they're in order to do business with you. Now, obviously, we all know that that went away with COVID, but there are still a lot of people who would just feel more comfortable having an accountant, a bookkeeper, a tax auditor, or tax preparer in their own community. So that if you're buying leads, try to buy leads that are close to you. And you can sort of tell from the requests that people are making in their information whether or not they're really a good prospect for you. And those are the ones you want to identify too. But don't buy leads if you're going to call them 48 hours later. And here's the crazy thing. The average response time for salespeople in America in sales is 48 hours. Yet we know 3 minutes is the right response time in this era of internet that gets the best results. Okay? Next. Randy Hanks. Randy, do you recommend postcard mailings as part of your ad campaigns? So I work with several people that do sales to people in their home, which is, by the way, Randy owns a bowling center, and he does email, Facebook, and in-house advertising, but he's saying not every house uses social media. Well, even if they do, you never know which media you use: postcard, direct mail letter, coupon book, or email, or text, or any other media that you use will work. You just don't know. So you have to do some experimentation. You have to try to see which works. So guy Michael Forrest, he has a garage door business. He puts a coupon in Valpak. He does it for 60 days. He gets one job from it. He doesn't do it anymore. I have another individual. He puts a full page ad in a magazine, and that magazine goes out to homeowners in the mail, and he gets lots of responses for it. He keeps doing it every month. So you have to experiment and see what works. I can't tell you if a postcard will drive traffic to your bowling alley or not. But whatever you do, offer a discount. I work with a med spa here, and she's driving 8 to 9 new customers a week to her spa because of the discount she offers in the email marketing that she does. And by the way, if you're not doing email marketing that offer a discount, that's a mistake. You should be doing that, because that's a great way to generate new traffic into your bowling alley. Okay? I think you've got to experiment. That's the best answer I got, and I'm no marketing expert. What we have in a marketing expert or two in our group, you could ask AJ Coots what he thinks, and or any of the other people in the group that are doing marketing for small businesses. Okay? So next, Kristen Lander. What is the fastest, easiest thing I could do to grow my business from the stage I'm in today? So, Kristen, I'm not picking on you, because 2 other people started their question the same way you did, which is, what is the fastest, easiest way to build my business? There is no fast, easy way to build a business. If there was, we'd all be doing it. So let's start changing our thinking from fast, easy to effective. What's the most effective way I can build my business the fastest? Because it is never going to be easy, all right? And rarely is it going to be fast in the strictest sense of the words, but there is faster and fastest way to build a business, okay? And that's where we want to get to in our thinking, first of all, okay? And anybody that asked me that question this week, fastest, easiest way to build a business, is not thinking correctly, okay? So the question is, I operate an online nutrition coaching business for strength athletes. She's currently doing about $120,000 in annual sales. She has 4 coaches and 1 administrative assistant on her team. And her current way of driving new business revenue is through positioning herself as an authority in my niche via my podcast and social media. 2023, she'd like to grow her business at least 50%. Well, at $120,000, you ought to grow at 100%. And here are some ways that you can do that. 1, direct sales. So who would you call on the phone and try to sell your products to? I think you'd want to try to sell them to strength coaches. I think you'd want to get people that are touching athletes who are trying to build strength first. And I think you'd want to do that personally. So direct sales. Secondly, email marketing. You should be acquiring a list of strength training athletes and also strength training coaches, so that you could be sending them email on a monthly basis promoting your products. And again, as I answered in the other question, you should be offering a discount for a first-time customer. Shoot, you can even offer it to them free, just to get them started. You've seen how the drugs and other supplement companies advertise. They almost always say, get 60 days free. Of course, you have to buy another 60 days to get it, but the advertising is free. So I think you should do email marketing. I think you should do text marketing. And there are a bunch of services now that will let you load cell phone numbers in there, and then text direct sales messages to your prospects. I think you should also be doing podcasts where you are the subject expert and you are the subject expert on these supplements, and you invite people to the podcast, and you can invite them on LinkedIn as well. And live LinkedIn works if you can identify the strength training coaches and the strength training athletes. And I'm sure there's a way to do that on LinkedIn, although I've never done it myself. And you should also be using Instagram and posting pictures of people who are using your product and getting results. And you need to be doing at least 3 posts a week, because the algorithm doesn't work for you to promote your Instagram site if you aren't doing at least 3 posts a week. Honestly, if you could do a post a day, it would be the best way to promote your products and services that way on Instagram. And again, it's got to be indirect, because if it's a commercial, they want to get paid for it, okay? It's just got to be photos and stories about what a great product you have, okay? You can't sell it on there. Well, you can, but you have to pay for it. So those are just some ideas about how to do that. If there are gatherings of strength athlete, contests of strength athletes, I'd go to those in person. I'd get a booth if I could. If I couldn't get a booth, I would contact everybody I could there, pick up every email address and phone number that I could there, and I would use those in my database of prospects, okay? You should double next year, okay? So this is from Josh, and he says, what's the fastest and easiest thing I can do to grow my business? Well, we've already talked about fastest and easiest. It's not what we look for when we're building a business. We look for most effective and the fastest of other alternatives, understanding that nothing is going to be fast in building a business. If it were like that, like I said before, everybody would be doing it. So what kind of business does Josh has? He has about 10,000 in sales, and his current way of driving business is to find good product deals and buy those and then sell those to his customers, Amazon and other platforms like that. And so I've worked with a couple of companies like this, Josh, and the best way for you to do it is to find the merchandise and then work some kind of terms out with the seller of the merchandise so that you can pay them in 30 days or pay them in 60 days. Of course, that'll be difficult, but until you get some credit established, you're going to be limited to what you have in your bank account or what you have on your credit card. You can also go to your bank if you got good credit and get your credit on your credit card raised. And there are probably 100, I'm not exaggerating, 100 offers right now on credit cards that will allow you to get more than a $10,000 line if you're making any money at all in your regular job. And if your brother's involved in it, sounds like he is, he can also get his credit card line raised. And you can slowly raise that line as long as you keep good credit and you're paying it off at the end of every month. If you've got a high balance on your card and you're barely making interest payments, you're not going to be able to get as much of an increase in credit as you need, okay? Now we're back with Robin again. Hey, Robin, what questions would you ask a shop owner that may want to sell my art? Thank you. So, Robin, this seems like a silly question for you to ask. You've been in this business for 10 years. And so for you to ask me that makes me think, what questions do you ask them? Because you've been doing a lot more than I have, a lot longer than I have. But just as somebody who's looking from the side, I'd be asking the shop owner, how many pieces of art does he want to have in his store? What percentage does he want on the art? And how is he going to pay you once he sells the art? And those are the kind of questions I would ask. If it's a shop owner who is asking you to paint specific scenes, and it sounds like it is, then what I'd do is I would get that shop owner to commit to you some amount of money before you painted the first painting. Now you could take a shot, just a chance and paint 1 or 2 or 3 of these specific scenes, but I do no more than 3. And if they sold, I'd do some more, and if they don't, I'd move on. But the ideal thing is to get him to pay when he puts the piece of art in your shop. I have a friend that's an artist, and every painting she paints, the gallery pays her when she ships the painting down there. And so that's the deal that you really want with a shop owner, okay? Rosalie again. What is the best approach to use during a presentation of my services and the prospects have a disagreement with each other? Should I intervene? So Rosalie's in a presentation of her product and services. The partners in the business have an argument. Rosalie is there listening to the argument. What should she do? Well, intervening is the last resort. The main thing to do is let them go ahead and settle it. And if they don't seem to be able to settle it, then you've got to find something to bridge the gap so that it's not taking up your time and it's not distracting from your product or service offering. Maybe you say something like, excuse me, but you guys can talk about this later, and laugh real big. Or you can say, excuse me, but I don't think you guys are going to be able to work that out today. Let me talk to you about this, okay? And you just change the subject. Excuse me, and I'm going to change the subject. Excuse me, let me change the subject. You know, they need intervention in that case if it accelerates and goes on for more than 4 or 5 minutes, okay? And that's happened to me. That's happened to most salespeople out there, that the partners have gotten in an argument while you're in the room. But I usually just let them settle it. I just nod my head while they're talking and smile and listen, okay? Next, Kristen Pitts. What is the fastest, easiest thing I could do to grow my business from the stage I am in today? That's the third question we've had that said, what's the fastest, easiest? Fastest, easiest. That's what we all want, right? Fastest, easiest. She's a wholesaler in the retail industry selling golf apparel. She's in her first year of business, launching this month of October, currently at $16,000 in gross sales. Her holdback in driving new business is lack of cash flow to purchase product or sell it. And so I assume that you're putting your products, your golf wear, into these shops on consignment. And so you've got to get out of that world, you know. You've got to get them to give you a firm order so that when they do, you can bill them, and then you can pay your vendor and buy more material. You also need to go to your vendor and ask for some kind of credit terms. Instead of cash on the barrelhead when you buy the golf shirt, for example, you get a 30 or 60-day term to pay for the golf shirt. And finally, you can always look to other credit options. You can look to credit options like a bigger line on your credit card, a second, third, fourth, fifth credit card. I know lots of small business owners that have taken out 5 credit cards and used that to get their business going. Now, you don't want to do that for long term, but in the short term, that sometimes helps. But whatever the case, you've got to get out of the business where you're the bank and the golf store is the customer who's using your money to sell their product and make your product and make a profit. That is a no-win business situation for you. And it's a little harder to make that sale, but that's the way you need to get your business structured, or it can never grow. Think about Bloomingdale's. You know, when they buy, or Bloomingdale's, or Macy's, or Nordstrom's, when they buy products, golf shirts, to sell in their store, they pay the vendor for them when they place the order. And they take a risk because they realize that the vendor can't survive if they don't have cash to pay for the making and the development of their products and materials, okay? The other thing you can do is, you're not making the golf shirts, so you can talk to the manufacturer about partnering with you so that you put the golf shirt in the store, you're the salesperson for the manufacturer, and the manufacturer fronts the cash in order to sell their shirts, and you earn a commission. So there are lots of different ways you can think about that, but you have to have the chutzpah, you have to have the courage, you have to have the belief that you can do it to go and make those things happen on the sales side of it and happen on the manufacturing side of it, both, okay? But I'm excited for you in your business. I think that's exciting, and I think you can double easily from 16,000. You ought to be doing 100,000 a year, or you shouldn't be in that business. Okay. So those are all the questions today. I apologize for being late. We have, I couldn't help it. Facebook changed, and it was difficult to find out, honestly, because I had 3 people who couldn't find it besides me to go live. But I'll know now in the future, and I thank you for listening. One other thing I want to say is there are only 6 weeks really left in the year because of the holidays. And so if there's only 6 weeks left, if there was ever a time when you worked 80 or 90 hours a week to finish the year strong, to have your best year ever, to get yourself ramped up to have a great 2023, it would be these 6 weeks. And there'll be some people who will sit back and say, it's the holidays, I'm not going to work that hard. And there'll be others who just go through the motions because it's the holidays. And then there will be those outstanding, dynamic, enthusiastic, good-looking, witty, and intelligent people who realize this is the best time of the year to get ahead of the competition and the best time of the year to set the stage for the next year, 2023. So I want you all to think about that in that way and go out and sell something. Thank you. Bye.